Hey guys, 2 weeks ago I played The Last of Us Part 2 in chronological order, and I just want to talk to you guys about it today. I want to share my thoughts and my experience with it. So let's jump right in. So, yeah, Naughty Dog released chronological order, and you literally can play the story in chronological order. So you do literally every single flashback. By the way, spoiler alert. If you guys don't want to know, like, literally all the intricacies of how this plays out, this is your one. But yeah, a lot of the flashbacks are all right off the bat. First chapter is technically called Flashback. You start with a tracking lesson with Abby and her dad. Then you go to Joel and Tommy, and then you do all the birthdays, ending with the winter visit with Abby and you guys. The flashback section, rushing through it, knowing where to go, knowing where all the triggers were, and even skipping cutscenes. The flashbacks took 3 hours. And then, after you do 3 hours of flashbacks, you go into the prologue. Can I just say, Joel did not go golfing until about 4 hours into my playthrough, which honestly was really kind of cool. Okay, really kind of cool. Um, if you go straight from like Last of Us Part One, it is obviously pure Joel and Ellie centric, right? The whole story is Joel and Ellie. You fall in love with both of these characters and whatnot. And then in normal mode of this game, you go in, you get this quick little cutscene between Joel and Tommy. And then you're just immediately playing as Ellie and meeting all of these new characters, Jesse, Dina. They're talking about Eugene, who is playable, but they're just talking about him. You quickly learn in part two that this is a different game than part one. It is an Ellie game. Joel takes a big back seat. Joel doesn't last very long in the base version. But yeah, it Joel's relationship gets shoved back. And it's really kind of nice with chronological order that it kind of eases you more into this new playstyle. It eases you into the fact that Joel's not the main character, by kind of just giving you doses of Joel throughout the entire prologue. The only kind of sort of weird thing is you get thrown in as chronological mode and you're instantly playing as Abby. So, if for some reason, and I don't recommend this, but if for some reason you were doing a first playthrough on chronological mode, thinking that you want the story in chronological order, thinking that would be a good idea, it's kind of weird because all of a sudden you're thrown into this brand new game that's still called The Last of Us, but you're playing as this girl you've never met before. You're running around as Abby, right? And like it kind of ties in by the end of that flashback because Abby and her dad do end up back at the hospital where the first game ended. And like there's a scene between Abby's dad, I think his name's Jerry, but don't that. There's a scene between Abby's dad and Marlene talking about Ellie and getting her prepped for surgery and all of that. And then you see the infamous thing of Joel doing his thing in the hospital. So it makes sense by the end of the first flashback, but it would definitely be weird as a first time player to throw yourself straight into Abby. But as a veteran of the game, it's kind of cool. That being said, having all of the flashbacks right up front was slightly weird. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you guys. It was slightly weird. It was slow, not a lot of action. A lot of cutscenes, a lot of talking. Like, it was literally get comfortable with the drink and a blanket for 3 hours. That being said, once you finally get to Seattle, and I mean finally, like I was 5 hours into this damn playthrough by the time I got to Seattle. Once you finally get here, it is non-stop action. You start Seattle as Abby at the stadium walking around with Manny and Mel. You keep going a little bit as Abby walking around dealing with the hardware store and all of that. And then after Abby and Manny and Mel get through, like, I'm gonna call it Home Depot because it really freaking reminds me of Home Depot. After you get through like the Home Depot store, then you switch back to Ellie and Dina first getting to Seattle and doing all of the gate stuff. And then you jump to Abby at the base looking for Isaac. Like, it's really cool to me to see the back and forth of what they were doing in real time. And it's also amazing to me to see in some sections, Abby was literally one location ahead of Ellie the entire time. And like, yeah, you could have seen this playing the game back to back, but like, for a first playthrough of this game, I think when I streamed it on my Twitch, this game took us about 18 hours of a first playthrough. Um, and my streams for my schedule, I can only stream for about 3.5 hours a night. Um, and so to get through 18 hours, that was across several days. 18 hours for me was almost 2 weeks of streaming. So it was spread out over a good chunk of time. Granted, this was the only game I was playing, so a lot of the stuff was fresh in my brain. But by the time I got to Abby's stuff, I had played Ellie Seattle Day 1 a week ago. So it was like knowing exactly where Ellie was, where Abby was when I had played the game a week ago. It wasn't so fresh, you know? It was fresh, but it wasn't fresh, if that makes absolutely any sense. So it was really cool to do everything back to back, flipping back and forth. I was kind of worried about how the flow would go, constantly swapping back and forth between these two. But it was really nice. I really enjoy this. I really enjoy this. And probably if I ever stream this game again in the future, I am really a big fan of doing quote unquote birthday runs. I like redoing story playthroughs of a game on the game's release anniversary. I call it the birthday. We do story runs for like all Resident Evil games on their release days. Beginning of the year is a lot of Resident Evil on my channel because Capcom loves quarter one releases. I'm not gonna lie, Naughty Dog does too. Part one came out end of March, early April, 2020. I want to say, don't quote me on that. This came out mid-April. So would I squeeze these games back to back in on their actual birthdays? I don't know if I can between all the Resident Evil birthdays. But good Lord, beginning of the year is busy. If I ever stream this game again, which I probably will because I do love it, I just currently need a break from it at the moment because it's been a lot of Last of Us Part 2 around here. I would stream this in chronological order next time I do play it. Which, who knows, we might do that next summer. Who knows? Who knows what I'm going to feel like doing. But yeah, as a veteran of this game, I kind of prefer chronological order because once you get through the slog of the flashbacks and the prologue, it is pure action for the rest of your playthrough. And I like that. I really, really, really like that. Um, so yeah, then you go through like day 2, you can see all the different chapters next to me and who you play as. If you know these chapters by heart as a longtime fan, you know exactly where they are in the story. And then you go through day 3. Day 3 is like, for me, I thought that day 3 was Abby heavy. But I guess in the end, it's still kind of split. Just Abby does so much in day 3 on the island that I feel like the Abby sections just took longer. Ellie is just like almost to the aquarium. She goes through a little boating section. She fights the arcade bloater. And then she's there. And then she walks into the aquarium, realize Abby isn't there, and then it cuts to Abby on the island. And I feel like the island and the escape took up the bulk of my time on day 3. And then, the farm, same as always. Santa Barbara, I feel like Santa Barbara, even base, you always start out as Abby, and then the rest of it is just Ellie getting to Abby. So Santa Barbara wasn't really changed at all. But yeah, if you're a fan of this game and haven't tried this out, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I had a blast doing this. If you're on my Twitch, throughout the time of me playing this on the side, it was quite a bit of complaining on my part. That being said, it was just pure bad timing that was by nobody's fault. Nobody could have foreseen Naughty Dog coming out with this. No one knew. It was kind of just like a big shadow drop. We all woke up to all of a sudden having a big update for Last of Us Part 2. Unfortunately, I had just platinum grinded this game from like April to June. So I finished this game like last week or week before last of June, 20 something. I finished this June 20 something. And then not 2 weeks later, we get, chronological order mode's out, and it's a new achievement. So I lost my platinum, and all of a sudden we gotta play it again. And guys, I like keeping my platinums. And so yeah, it was kind of just pure bad timing, where mentally, like, I was ready for a break from this game, and then all of a sudden, boom, here we are playing it again. So I rushed this. I went through this. I tried to get everything out of the experience of the story. But like actual game through, I was running by everything. I wasn't looting near as much as I should. I was barely upgrading my guns. Like, I rushed this playthrough just because mentally my brain was kind of checked out of Last of Us mode. I am like already low-key excited to have a proper break from this game. And then next time that I come back to it ready to stream it and hang out with my community, knowing what we're going to get into with this mode, I think it's going to be a great way to stream it. I think once we get through the prologue and all the flashbacks, I think it's going to be fun, non-stop action. Definitely check this mode out. It's an improvement. It's a great thing. Yeah, I'm just rambling at this point, so guys, don't forget, check out the Twitch channel. I am live there every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Central. Currently, we are playing through the OG Silent Hill games for my first time ever. I am absolutely loving it. So if you're a Silent Hill fan, make sure to come on by and say hi to us and watch my journey. And then after that, I've got a bunch of challenge runs in Resident Evil planned for the month of August. So if any of that stuff sounds interesting to you, make sure to drop by. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe. I'm on all the socials. My link tree is in the description. Yeah, hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. And I will hopefully see some of you at stream this evening. Bye guys.